We spent 10 days in Greece exploring Athens, 2 islands and Meteora. In Athens, we visited historic sites and rooftop bars and tried street food at both touristy and more local spots. We also found the best breakfast we have ever had. We then headed for the islands, the first of which was Skiathos, where we travelled around on an ATV to reach remote beaches, tried a top-rated restaurant, and sipped incredible cocktails at a waterfront bar. Our next island was Skopelos, home to stunning coastlines, gorgeous alleys, and the famous Chapel on the Rock from Mamma Mia. We spent time finding more beaches and popular swimming spots, and visited a beautiful monastery up in the mountains. We finished up our time back on the mainland seeing Meteora, a bucket list UNESCO World Heritage Site featuring 6 medieval monasteries perched atop sandstone pillars. We're Ricky and Liana, an English and Kiwi couple living in Australia. We have visited almost 50 countries between us, and we like to seek quieter destinations amongst the unavoidably popular ones. We'll tell you our honest thoughts on what we did, ate and experienced throughout Greece, so your precious time and money are spent on worthy experiences. Our journey began with an 8-hour flight from Melbourne to Singapore, a 3-hour stopover, and then a 12-hour flight to Athens, landing at 8 a.m.
We just landed in Athens 26 hours after we left home, and we're about to get the train to the city.
The train from the airport took under an hour and cost €9 each. You can tap on using digital or physical bank cards or buy a ticket. We had several hours before we could check into our accommodation, so we put our bags in storage before heading out to explore. Our first taste of street food was at Elvis, located outside of the busy areas in what feels more like a real lived-in neighbourhood. The food here was great value for money.
This is the first restaurant to try, and I've got some chicken and pork skewers, so I'm going to go for the chicken one first. It's juicy. That's a good skewer. Next up, we've got the pork skewer. That is also very tender and good.
What's your favourite?
I'm gonna go the chicken over the pork.
We've finally been able to check into our hotel in Athens after 36 hours since we left home yesterday. We've been wearing these t-shirts since, so we're gonna have a shower and freshen up and then maybe go grab some dinner. Before heading for dinner, we had a cocktail at this gorgeous bar, the Clumsies. We tried a Catching a Falling Star, which was like a spicy margarita, and a Sitting Beneath an Apple Tree, which was sour and appley. We had dinner at Anafani, located on the busy Plaka stairs with a view of the Acropolis. Dinner with 2 cocktails cost about €50. The food was great, but the cocktails were average. Our next stop was the main highlight of Athens, the Acropolis. We chose to visit at 5 p.m. to avoid peak crowds, and as you can see it was a little busy, but the line moved quickly and it didn't feel too crowded once you were up top. This magnificent theatre, perched on the hillside, was constructed around 1,900 years ago. It was destroyed only 100 years later and lay ruined until the 1950s when it was finally restored, and it's still used for concerts today. Walking through the gates, it's hard to find words to describe seeing with your own eyes such iconic structures, which have stood through 2,500 years of history. The Parthenon, which is a temple of the goddess Athena, was commandeered by other religions throughout history, becoming both a Catholic church and a mosque for hundreds of years. When we went in May, there were still a couple of scaffolds at the western facade of the Parthenon, however they have apparently since been taken down. Down the hill, you can see the ruins of the oldest theatre in the world. My favourite structure was the Porch of the Maidens. I love the elegant statues which are said to protect the tomb of a mythical king. The figures are replicas of the originals, one of which sits in a museum in London after being stolen by a British earl more than 200 years ago. No surprises there. After spending about an hour exploring, we headed to Shiril for dessert.
Just got back from Shiril Profiti rolls, so I've got the pistachio with some nutty stuff on top. I feel a bit sick now, but the Profiti roll is good. The cream itself is maybe a bit too sickly.
Ricky's thing is desserts, mine is radlers. I'm going to judge this Greek, we assume Greek radler.
How's that?
Good, very sweet.
So how do you summarise how your day went today?
Exhausting. Yeah,
Was the Skopelos live up to its expectations?
Yeah, the Acropolis was amazing. The food's been really, really good as well.
This is day 2 in Athens. We've just woken up from an 11-hour sleep, got ready, and we're going to go for some breakfast.
We saw a place yesterday called Ergon House. It had a queue out of the door all day every time we walked past it, so we're going to see if it's worth the hype. We're just back from breakfast at Ergon House. What we thought was Ergon House was actually their bakery, which had the big line, so we didn't have to wait at all. We had a shakshuka paneli. I hope I'm saying that right. It's like a Turkish pie, but it's a Greek version, which has toppings, some eggs, and it was amazing.
Back from the Ergon bakery, we both bought pastry from there. I've gone for the apple pie, and looks like it's got some creamy topping. And Liana went for...
Let's have a look. I do love cardamom.
That's good, that's fresh.
Is it apple-y?
Very moist.
Nice.
That's good.
Beautiful. So I think this is actually worth the hype. Often when I see a line out the door of somewhere, it makes me not want to go there because I think that's obviously like some kind of a social media hotspot, but actually this was worth the hype. It's delicious. We hit the streets again, passing this almost 1,000-year-old church before heading to see an ancient Roman tomb preserved beneath Zara. While not the most amazing ruins, it was interesting to see how old sites are incorporated when constructing new buildings.
And now on our way out to check out some local street food and drinks recommended by Liana's Uncle Seuss.
We had a quick happy hour cocktail, then headed to our first street food stop, a vegetarian restaurant which we highly recommend. So we are at Rhino Vegan Beat. I've ordered a Skiathos, which is a mushroom souvlaki. Amazing. That bread's so soft. And the mushroom's amazing. It's got like a meaty texture, like chickeny. So good. Then we headed for one of the oldest souvlaki shops in Athens, Costa.
I got a beef pita from Costa's, the most famous pita shop in Athens. Very juicy inside, plenty of sauce there. It's so fresh, it's good. Highly recommend this while you're in Greece.
The line wasn't too long either.
No, the line was just outside the shop, but you got to the front of the line within, say, 5 minutes.
We then wandered to Tilikto, where we queued for 25 minutes to order Ricky's second lunch. I later tried a halloumi pita here, which was not as good as the mushroom one from Rhino.
It's our second souvlaki of the day. Tilikto, I think it's pronounced. So we can see it's got plenty of zucchini, plenty of chicken in.
Not zucchini, tzatziki.
Tzatziki even. Zucchini. Very nice. The chicken's very tender.
So
maybe
how does it compare to Costa's?
Maybe on par with Costa's. Not too much difference between the pair of them.
Okay.
But I beef with Costa's and chicken at Tilikto. I'll prefer the tzatziki over the salsa and the beef one.
We then sampled some rooftop bars with views of the Acropolis. Both bars had plenty of empty tables during the afternoon. The first stop was Couleur Locale, which had the best views and a relaxed vibe. The next bar was the Cuban-themed Buena Vista Social Bar, which didn't have as great of a view, but was decorated beautifully, and the cocktail options were extensive and creative. On our way for another bite to eat, we ventured through this bizarre fairy tale cafe, which serves extravagant desserts, before arriving at our next stop, Farouz. At the staff's recommendation, we tried a lahmacun, which was a little bland, but that's probably because we had a healthy vegetable one. We'd be keen to try something different as they do have lots of options. We made our way to the Western Hills to watch the sunset over the Acropolis. One of the hills that makes up this viewpoint, Nika Hill, was one of the most important sites in the creation of democracy. 2,500 years ago, male citizens of Athens would meet here to discuss and vote on public matters, which was revolutionary at the time. The walk up was easy, and we found a quiet spot to summarize our time in Athens over a glass of bubbles.
We lost our audio, but this is pretty much what we said. We've really enjoyed our time in Athens. There's so much history here. It's known as the birthplace of democracy. There's beautiful fashion if you're into shopping. There's so many rooftop bars with amazing cocktails and food. There are ancient ruins everywhere, including beneath Zara, which you can see through the glass floor. The food is probably some of the best I've had in the world. Athens truly is a multifaceted city with something for everyone. The next morning we returned to Ergon House for another smoky shakshuka paneli, which was the best food we ate in Athens. For one final cheeky treat, we went to Lokomades, where we had a weird experience. Despite being open, they had nothing ready to order, and when we returned later, we stood at the counter for 5 minutes waiting to order before anyone approached us, even though they weren't serving anyone else, and then most of the toppings weren't available. Despite all of this, the Lokomades were delicious.
We're about to check out of our Airbnb in Athens. We thought we'd give you a little room tour. So we're staying in the city centre. We're about 10 minutes from the main train station, and we're really in amongst all of the action. This is what €100 a night in Athens will get for you.
Our short time in Athens was up. We made our way back to the airport via the busy train, tasted some cheese in the airport, and boarded a tiny plane. We arrived in Skiathos via a short scenic flight from Athens. Skiathos Airport is known for its short, narrow runway, resulting in planes seemingly landing right on the edge of the beach. The plane was so small that we had to check in one of our backpacks. We stayed in this gorgeous hotel with a balcony overlooking the sea. It's located a 30-minute walk or a short drive from town. On our first day, we relaxed by the pool before wandering into town for dinner at a restaurant called Plakis.
So we just got back from Plakis, which is a highly recommended restaurant in Skiathos overlooking the beach.
So the restaurant was absolutely beautiful, a gorgeous setting. The food was great and the service was very attentive.
We did, however, feel that for the portion sizes is a bit overpriced compared to other restaurants that we've been in Greece.
We also felt that they were quite sneaky with sales tactics.
They bring out bread without you ordering it, and it's charged at €3 per person. We didn't encounter this anywhere else in Greece. The next morning we enjoyed a great buffet breakfast.
We just left our hotel and we're on our way to pick up an ATV to explore the island of Skiathos.
I was particularly excited about this because I got my first quad bike when I was 3 and it's still my favourite activity. We started out on sealed roads before tackling more rugged terrain to access our first secluded beach, which unfortunately was a little too rough for us to swim, but it isn't always like that.
Come to the first beach, Praia Lacuni, and there's literally no one here. We have the whole beach to ourselves.
The drive down was amazing. It's not exactly a swimming beach, but the views are incredible.
We headed back through the hills into town to watch a plane land on the short runway. After watching the plane land, we then headed to the other end of the runway to wait for a takeoff over the beach. We dipped our feet in the water, however being May, it was freezing, so we relaxed in the sun while we waited for the plane. We then went for some lunch before continuing our search for the perfect beach. The food at Pork and Roll was good, but the highlight was the button in the bathroom. We hit the bumpy roads again and eventually arrived at Mandraki Beach, which was perfectly quiet and sandy rather than pebbly, but the water was rough the day we visited and had brought in lots of seaweed. The search continued.
Nah,
Trust me.
I don't think
Go
so.
for up there. Oh no, maybe not.
It's very fucking dodgy. Maybe if you walked.
And if it's good,
We don't know what's up the other side.
So
The video doesn't do the steepness and state of this road justice. It was definitely not a good idea to take a rented quad up it. Follow your gut, not Google Maps.
we've just pulled over on the ATV and come to Ligaris Lookout on the north side of the island.
Been on a bit of a mission today around the island on our ATV searching for the perfect beach. We've tried out a couple of the popular beaches, but they were too busy, not really our scene. And then we've tried to find some more quiet beaches on the north side. We've driven down to them on the quad. It's been very, very steep, but the water has been a bit rough and seaweedy. So we're now at Ligari's beach and hopefully we can get down there and try it out.
Our plans for tonight are to go to Ginfish, have some drinks and maybe go for some dinner somewhere along the coast.
Some people are gym sharks. I'm a gin fish.
Finally, at 5 p.m, we arrived at a beach where we could head in for an icy dip.
Well, good news, we made it to the Ligari's beach where we're going to relax for the rest of the day, go for a swim until we have to go back to the accommodation to get changed and go for some drinks later at Ginfish. I believe there's actually a restaurant down here. How do people even get down them roads?
Oh my god, I think it's a dolphin.
We made the most of our cold swim and sat watching some people on horses for a bit, and then we made our way back to our hotel to try some Greek liqueurs as well as a melon we had been gifted. Bonus points if you can tell us what kind of a melon it is.
So we loved our time in Skiathos. The only regret is we wish we had longer.
If we did have longer, we would have hired a small boat. You can actually drive the boat yourself, and then you can access some more secluded beaches that are only accessible by boat and not by road.
To get around the island without an ATV, you could always get the local bus, which can take you to all the beaches on the south side. However, if you want to get to the north side, the only access is by four-wheel drive.
I just want to mention the roads are pretty gnarly. It may not be for everyone.
This is ouzo.
Ooh, licorice.
First of all, we're going to do it straight, and then we're going to add a little bit of water.
Apparently
and
that's
go
how
from
they
there.
drink it. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh,
Instant heartburn. I like it.
it's very strong, but
It's actually like
I think mixed.
black sambuca. We might just sit with that for a bit. Maybe just a splash.
Yeah, I'd reckon.
I guess it's like whiskey. That's actually lovely with water. Have you got enough
It's
water?
very strong, but
It's not for you.
that's not for me. Not for me at all.
So we've got, I think it's mastiha. It's spelt mastic, but I did Google that. It's made from a plant, I think. Ooh, it smells very herbally.
Let's go for it. 1, 2, 3, cheers. That's actually really nice.
That is nice.
That's much better than the ouzo.
It tastes a lot better than it smells. It's quite
I
sweet.
could drink that one straight any day.
So the man that we hired our ATV off gave us this melon from his garden, and he said to take it to the beach and eat it. We didn't get a chance, but we're going to try it now. He said it's like a watermelon, but I don't know. It looks more
Watermelon
like,
sugar.
looks more like a rock melon or a honeydew melon.
Get that man's chainsaw over there.
Oh, yeah. He said not to eat the seeds.
Oh, so we might not eat the seeds. We might be on the toilet if we do.
It tastes like rock melon.
Oh, it's hard. That's the seeds. I'm not. I need a shovel. I'll take a bit with the skin, even though I don't want to eat the skin. Oh, here we go.
It's quite nice.
Yeah, it's fine. It just tastes like a normal watermelon.
Not watermelon, like rock melon or honeydew melon.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very juicy, fresh.
Just walking to Ginfish to have some cocktails, and I thought of something that I would have loved to have done, but we missed out. There is a Mamma Mia outdoor cinema that plays during summer here, but we've missed it by a couple of weeks. It's not going to be open until the end of the month.
We made our way into the port area for our long-awaited cocktails, and they did not disappoint. We tried a lemon pie, a tropical Rita, a hazel, a Cortez, another lemon pie, and the very best cocktail we've ever had, the Layla. The flavors packed into all of the cocktails, but especially the Layla, were incredible. There are so many things to love about this place. The setting right on the waterfront, the happy hour prices, the vibe, the creative drinks. We wished we had gone on our first night in Skiathos so we knew how good it was, and we could have gone twice. We reluctantly left to find a place for dinner as it was getting late. We stumbled upon this cute courtyard restaurant which had live music. A lady who was visiting the restaurant for dinner ended up singing with the band. We enjoyed our dinner over a half kilo of wine. Half litres are really common in Greece, but this was the first and last time seeing it called a half kilo.
Unfortunately for Ricky, the moussaka was sold out. Moussaka is his favourite.
Just walking back to the room after 6 cocktails and half a kilo of wine.
Before we knew it, it was time to leave this gorgeous island.
We had an amazing stay at this hotel in Skiathos. It's called the Irida Aegean View. We would highly recommend it. The breakfast options are just endless. We had about a 3-course meal every day for breakfast. We have the most amazing view from our balcony. The staff are so friendly. They even printed out 4 pages of restaurants that they personally recommended us to try.
We're now about to head to our next island, the filming location of Mamma Mia. If you can guess where it is, comment below.
We returned our quad to the lovely man we had hired it from.
We're just making our way to Skiathos port to catch our ferry to our next island. See you there.
Then checked in for our ferry and had a coffee at the port while we waited for it. If you've never been on one of these ferries, they are absolutely enormous and quite luxurious. Next, we headed to Skopelos Island to explore more beaches, monasteries, and of course the Mamma Mia church. We travelled from Skiathos via ferry, which took about an hour. There's no airport on this island. The main port is currently undergoing works, so ferries are operating from a port on the other side of the island, meaning we had to get a bus between the port and town. We have arrived in Skopelos, the home of Mamma Mia. We're just unpacking. We've been to lunch already at a local family's restaurant. The food is off to a great start. I had a Skopelos cheese pie, very tangy, tart cheese, and these gorgeous zucchini balls. They had like a dill flavour to them. Ricky had a moussaka, which was a great portion size, but probably his least favourite moussaka that he's had. Plans after we finish unpacking will be to go and check out the town and wander up to, I think it's the Venetian castle.
We began our journey up the steep steps and winding alleys, admiring beautiful whitewashed buildings such as this 17th century church with its panoramic views. We eventually arrived at the town's highest point, the Venetian castle. The walls that remain are part of a restoration from the 13th century, but the original fortress was built in ancient times. We headed back down to our guest house for some chill time before heading out for dinner.
We have a couple of Greek snacks to try. We asked the man that works at the local supermarket what he likes. The chapitas are oregano flavoured.
They kind of taste like a Walker's or a Smith's.
They're lovely.
We have my favourite, chocolate. I'll let Liana try first because I'm a gentleman.
First time for everything. Cheers. I got the bigger piece.
You go first because I said I'd let you go first.
It's almost just like a Cadbury. It's nice, but it's not like a special.
You can definitely take it or leave it.
We had a drink at the brewery before dinner at Soya, which has a very random combination of Asian and Mexican foods, but our meals were great. Ricky, of course, needed a dessert before we called it a night. This is a bigger island, so we've hired a car to explore it. The hire car company is directly below where we're staying.
Just finished having some breakfast at Swell's Coffee Bar and we're now on our way to explore the island in our hire car.
We started out with one of the most beautiful swimming spots on the island, Amarandus Cove. The roads down to it were unpaved but not too rough. The cove is understandably quite popular due to its vibrant turquoise water. It is a bit tricky to get in and out of the water as it involves climbing over sharp rocks, so it's best to wear covered shoes, although Ricky managed in flip-flops with only one minor injury. On the way there, we'd spotted a rocky area through the trees that it looked easier to get in and out of the water from, so we wandered back for a dip. I have to say, May is great for Greece for avoiding crowds, and the air is warm, but the sea is breathtakingly cold.
Cold?
Nice.
I didn't last long before retreating to the warm rocks to thaw out.
Just on our way to our next beach, we just stopped for lunch at Nico's.
We had a beautiful dip. I think it's called biordi, and it's like a melted feta, tomatoes, onions, all mixed in, and you dip it into
bread.
Yeah, oh,
lovely.
Gorgeous. We asked the lady who worked there what her favourite beaches were, and they are beaches that we had on our list already, so we're going to try them maybe tomorrow.
Next on our list for the day was Piravolio Beach, which ended up being our favourite. There were less than 10 other people there, and as it wasn't quite summer, they hadn't set up any sun lounges or beach bars, which was great. In my opinion, this is how a beach should be. Before getting in, we of course needed to sample another Greek treat.
So we're here at, we think it's Perivioliu Beach. We have a Derby bar to try. Hazelnut flavour. It may have melted in the car, but let's try. First bite for you, the chocolate lover.
Nice. That is tasty. I think I prefer that over the Ion plain milk chocolate. Now we're just going to relax, go for a swim and enjoy the crystal clear waters.
This is where we spent the longest time swimming of all the beaches on the island. The water was still cold, but there were some warm patches which made it bearable. Next on our list was the famous Chapel of St. John. The parking area is tiny and was almost full, so it was a great decision to visit later in the day. There's a small beach beneath the cliffs if you'd like to stay a while admiring the views and swimming. There's also a cafe, and for some reason a cosmetic shop near the entrance to the walk up the cliff, which spoilt the view a little.
Mamma mia, here I go again. Mama, how can I resist you?
I spotted a dandelion and made a wish that Ricky would stop singing that song. The history of the chapel is a little creepy. Apparently a man kept seeing a light glowing at the top of the cliff. He eventually climbed up, found a religious icon there and took it home, but it kept reappearing back on the cliff, so the local community built the church there, believing it to be a miracle. Inside the chapel, Ricky lit a candle, praying for a better singing voice, and nearly burnt his arm.
We've just finished up at the Chapel of St. John, which is also known as the Mamma Mia Church. It was a beautiful, stunning location. Not actually too many people. We went at about 5 p.m. It is not that much of a nice church, and up the top was really overgrown with weeds and things, but the cliffs themselves that the church sits on, majestic.
The church itself is nothing special to look at, but it's definitely the scenery that makes it happen. We are here in May, so it may be busier in the summer months.
We had dinner back in town at Duya, where Ricky tried a traditional pork and plum dish. The island is famous for their plums. I had zucchini balls, which weren't as nice as at Upper Lafsi, and a rich fried feta.
It's our final day in Skopelos. We've woken up to some rain.
So today we're going to go check out some monasteries, and then hopefully the weather clears up enough to check out some beaches.
We had a beautiful breakfast at Decimo, where they had decent coffee and great food. Their truffle eggs with mozzarella on brioche was to die for. We then headed into the misty mountains above town to explore some monasteries. The first one was unfortunately closed, probably due to the weather, but we had a fantastic visit to Timios Prodromos. This monastery, halfway up Mount Paluki, was founded in the 17th century and is absolutely stunning. The monk was very welcoming and allowed us to film and take pictures, including inside the church, which is not allowed at many monasteries. The church was very elaborately decorated with gold. My favourite part was the floor tiles, which are about 300 years old.
So we've just finished up at our first monastery. The very first one we went to was closed. It was amazing. The monks invited us in. They had cats and dogs running around the place. They offered us lollies. They were very kind. If you were coming to Skopelos and you wanted to get around and see the island, I highly recommend getting a car. It maximizes your time. It means you don't have to wait for the bus. I think they're quite infrequent. It's okay driving here. The roads are actually pretty good, better than on Skiathos, where we hired an ATV. Just remember, when driving in Europe, right is right if you're not used to driving on the right side of the road.
We hit a little traffic jam and continued on our way to find more beaches as the weather was clearing. Ricky of course needed a treat first. This waffle was delicious. The walk to our next beach was quite tricky. We had to walk for about 5 minutes along the rocks, with some of them being underwater and slippery.
It's slow coming.
We were rewarded with an entirely empty beach, which would be glorious to swim at on a more warm day.
So I've recently bought a bum bag. I'm still sitting on the fence with them, so tell me what you think. And if you think it's cool, is it best worn like this? Or like this?
Our last beach of the day was Panormus, a sheltered pebbly beach opposite a number of restaurants. We spent more than 3 hours here, where we rented sun lounges from Kraken Restaurant.
Tip it with your best rocks.
4 cocktails and dinner cost €55, and they included the lounges for free as it was off-peak season. The temperature eventually warmed up enough for us to brave the water for our last swim of Greece. We had more great cocktails back in town at Azores, overlooking the port area, and then called it a night. On our last morning, we had breakfast from this fancy bakery. We tried an iconic Greek sweet bougatsa, which is like a custard pie, and the best coffee of our entire trip. We also got some lunch to take with us on the ferry. Seeing the ferry come into the port was quite thrilling because it doesn't look like it's going to fit, but somehow it does. These massive trucks drove on, and then we were on our way to the mainland for our next destination. It was actually so enjoyable sitting out on the back deck. We ate our bakery lunch, had a few drinks, took in the peaceful views, and 4 short hours later we were at our base to visit Meteora. We stayed in Volos, a port city less than 2 hours from Meteora. Volos is far quieter than Athens, and on our first night we actually struggled to find a place near our accommodation that was open for dinner at 7 p.m. on a Sunday. We ended up at this cute tapas bar, which gave us our first impression of the food scene in Volos. It was banging and great value. We then picked up our hire car so we could get on the road early the next morning to make sure we could visit a few viewpoints on the way and get a car park.
For any Lincoln Park fans remaining out there, we're driving to Meteora in a hybrid. I'm super excited for Meteora. It's been on my bucket list forever. The rock formations themselves are about 60 million years old. The monks started settling in caves in about the 11th century, and then the monasteries started getting built in the 14th century. There were originally 30 monasteries, and there's currently only 6 remaining active. We can visit 5. There's one that's closed kind of every day of the week, and today it happens to be a Monday, and I think it's St. Stephen's that's closed today, so we're going to miss that one. But the other 5, we're so excited for.
As well as checking out the monasteries, we're also going to go to some viewpoints overlooking the whole area, and we're hoping we also have some time to check out some wineries within the region.
We soon started getting our first glimpses of the impressive cliffs and headed up into the hills.
We're here! We're at Meteora, we're at the main observation deck, and the views are incredible. This is wild.
By 8:30 we parked at Volos, climbed the staircase and joined the queue, admiring the view some more while waiting for the gates to open at 9 a.m. One thing we didn't realise is that women have to wear skirts or dresses, not pants. There are free wraps provided at the entrance to all of the monasteries if you make the same mistake. The entry fee for each of the monasteries is €5 per person, and most accept card. The courtyard at Volos was so beautiful and provided views of the small Rusinal monastery down the winding road. Photos aren't allowed inside the churches at any of the monasteries, but the murals were insanely detailed and covered every surface. The artwork we were allowed to capture isn't even a fraction of what was inside the churches. The origin of the monasteries is so interesting. As the Ottoman Empire threatened Christianity in Greece, monks needed a safe place to hide and chose these towering pillars. To access the cliff tops, the monks used rope ladders that they could pull up, cutting off access to Ottoman raiders. The access was this way for centuries until steps were built in 1920. This was followed by roads in the 1960s. The monks were also able to prevent destruction and loss of religious texts and items, some of which are on display in the museums. Next we walked 10 minutes up the road, leaving our car parked at Volos, to the Great Meteoron, the largest and oldest monastery of the 6. The Great Meteoron opens at 9:30. We spent 5 to 10 minutes climbing up and down various stairs and were in the door by 9:50. It wasn't actually too busy compared to what we expected. We started in the medieval kitchen, which was so special to see. It contains the original bread oven, soup hearth, tools, clay pots and ceramic jugs, which the monks used for about 200 years. The grounds are massive. You need more time here than at Volos. We spent just under an hour exploring the various buildings, courtyards, art, and the museum, which did not allow photography. Here you can see a view of Volos perched on its rock, which Ricky was clearly very impressed by. The wine cellar is no longer used and is more of a wine museum. However, the monks do still make wine at a vineyard near the base of the rock, which you can buy from their gift shop. Next we went to Rusinau, which sadly was in disrepair for 200 years before being ransacked during World War II, along with several of the other monasteries. It was later repaired and has been operating as a convent since 1988. The walk to the entrance was the easiest of all of the monasteries, however it was also the most crowded, which may be because some large tour groups arrived just before we did at 11 AM. The crowd overwhelmed the small site and we could not even get inside the church. The frescoes in the church are apparently smaller versions of those at Valam, as Rusinau became an auxiliary of Valam for a time. We only spent about 20 minutes here before retreating to find a lunch place. We ended up at this tavern in Kastraki, the less busy of the two towns below the Meteora rocks.
So we've just finished up our lunch out at the town below Meteora. We did try to go to this winery I'd saved, but it turned out they A, didn't have food, and B, you had to book. So unfortunately we didn't get to have any Greek wine tasting.
So we're now going to go and check out some caves at Theopetra.
We headed 20 minutes down the road to Theopetra Cave during the busy midday hours at the monasteries. Theopetra Cave shows signs of human presence from at least 130,000 years ago. The stone wall at the entrance to the cave was built around 23,000 years ago during the last ice age, which makes it the oldest known human-made structure in the world. There is a really informative museum containing skeletons and artifacts excavated from the cave. At 3 PM, we arrived at our final monastery, Holy Trinity. We contemplated trying to squeeze in St. Nicholas, but decided against rushing to see the two sites before closing time, especially as we had read that St. Nicholas was the smallest. We would definitely recommend wearing enclosed shoes for all the walking up and down stairs all day, but we only had hiking shoes that did not go with our outfits. The climb up to Holy Trinity was the longest and hardest of the 4 monasteries we visited, but also the most interesting, with the way the path was carved into the rocks and with its uninterrupted views over the wild rock formations. This was the only monastery that did not want me to wear a wrap over my trousers, and it was almost empty of other visitors, so we had free reign over the entire site. Here is an example of a pulley system that the monks used to use for hundreds of years to transport materials up to the monasteries. There are 2 churches, the older of which has a domed roof covered in frescoes dating back to the 1600s. The courtyard views overlook the other monasteries as well as the towns below. We summarised our thoughts on the monasteries the following day over a drink, so stick around and I'll play that shortly. There'll also be further insights at the end of this video. Back in Volos, we went to this top-rated restaurant with an eclectic menu, and it was incredible. The meal was such good value. It began with a free shot, and the cheese platter was so massive that we almost couldn't eat our equally delicious mains, which we tucked into while sharing stories with an Australian couple at the next table. So we have a couple of liqueurs that I bought from the Rusinau monastery run by nuns. We're going to try. So the first one is a cherry liqueur. This might be stronger. It's a plum Sapporo. The nun who sold it to me said that it was really good for sore stomachs. So we might just have a tiny bit of that to start with. I think it's really strong. All right, cheers. Oh my God, that's so strong.
That is strong again. Similar to what we had in... Where was it?
Ouzo?
It's similar to the ouzo, but
not
less
aniseed.
flavoury.
Yeah, it tastes like a prune almost.
Yeah, that's not great.
I hope she didn't mean that it gives you the shit.
It tastes like it would.
When we were in Bosnia a couple of years ago, we had the best sour cherry liqueur, and we just kept trying to find it everywhere.
So we're hoping this matches up to them expectations. Yeah, that's actually really nice.
Delicious.
That's to die for.
Amazing.
That's similar to the Bosnia one.
Yeah, that's what the bottles look like. Really cool, with actual picture of the monastery where it's made. Our favourite monastery?
So our favourite monasteries are Meteora, or would you suggest?
Valam. Amazing.
Valam, and then for second place, where will we go? I reckon, I'll say the Great Meteora, just because you got like the kitchen and the
kitchen was really cool.
kitchen area. You got the good museums there where you can see a lot of the paintings.
Yeah. Valam also had a really good museum underground as well. It was really a classy museum, beautifully put together.
Well, you can't video in a lot of the chapels, so we're unable to share that. But
they were stunning though, just authentic fresco paintings.
Similar to the paintings that we got in some of the footage.
Kind of even better, but yeah, very cool. Some of them were even like, chipping away. You could tell they were so old. It was amazing. Rusinau was very, very small. If you had to skip one, we would probably say skip that.
It's either that or go early, real early first. Maybe do the first, because we couldn't even get in the chapel in Rusinau.
Yeah,
that's how busy it was. There was like a queue outside the door of about 30 people, I would say, 40 people, just to fit in a small chapel.
And we got there at about 11:30, I would say, so a lot of the tour groups were already there ahead of us and crowding around everything, of course. It detracts from the experience a bit. But otherwise, the other monasteries were big enough to handle the crowds, I would say. In May, this is in May, so it could be busier.
Doing Holy Trinity at the end was also very quiet. Like after 4 o'clock, I would say there was all be quiet.
It was beautiful.
Or maybe 3 o'clock even.
Yeah, it was quite peaceful. You actually had the whole area really to yourself, didn't you? The whole monastery, essentially. And we got to see a monk coming across in his little...
kind of like a cable car.
Yeah, but
a small version.
Tiny.
Mini cable car.
He went across to get a gas bottle.
The next morning, we got a bus to Thessaloniki, Greece's second largest city, where we stayed for one night before crossing the border into North Macedonia. Thessaloniki surprised us with more fantastic food, like this dumpling restaurant, which had possibly the best dessert we've ever had, a yuzu tart, which had such complex and balanced citrus flavours. We had it twice in one day. We spent the afternoon walking around the city, seeing its oldest central market, which had rows and rows of fresh food as well as souvenirs and clothing, before checking out some ancient ruins. Thessaloniki is similar to Athens in that modern life blends with ancient sites. The city is walkable, and there are so many beautiful buildings, cocktail bars and restaurants. This narrow bar was funky and the staff were great at recommending cocktails based on what flavours we wanted. This stunning arch was built around 1700 years ago to celebrate the Roman victory over the Persian Empire at the Battle of Satala and features marble carvings of battle scenes. The arch was part of a larger structure that connected the emperor's mausoleum, known as the Rotunda, to his palace. We had our first and only bad meal of Greece here at a top-rated Turkish restaurant. We don't understand the rave reviews as we found our pies very bland and dry. We finished the evening at the waterfront, where we wandered along and had a drink at a very overpriced rooftop bar to watch the sunset. If you have the time, we would recommend spending 2 days at Meteora so you can see all 6 monasteries as they are all unique. Early morning and late afternoon was the quietest for each of the sites we visited, so visiting 2 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon across 2 days would be perfect for avoiding the busiest times, particularly the smaller monasteries. You could also stay close to Meteora. We stayed in Volos because we had such limited time, but you can stay at either of the 2 towns that are at the base of Meteora, which are Kastraki and Kalambaka.
So because we're so awkward on camera, please like and subscribe. And cheers to that.
Cheers.
See you in North Macedonia for the next episode.